Hey guys, it's Shawn Ziem, the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doctor. Live number 67 on the year. Last year I only did 54 by November. Look at where we're at now. Things change. You have to change. And that's why I do this every single day, or try to at least instill some value, give you golden nuggets. I know it's lunchtime, so sit back, enjoy some great content, good conversation, but also implement, take action. That's what we're looking for. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call either or, because we're going to drop some major, major value. Let me bring on Sal Ventre.
Hey,
What's
what's
up,
up,
Sal?
Shawn? How
How
are
are
you,
you?
man? Thank you for having me.
That's beautiful background. How's it down by you, down the shore? It's a little rainy, kind of
It's nice.
overcast
Yeah,
here.
it hasn't started raining yet, but I'm pretty sure it's coming any minute now.
I'm tired of these storms, but I guess a little coolness could be helpful today because it's been a
Yeah,
little brutal recently.
it's been warm, but I think I'm ready for it.
I'm glad that you had some time to share some value. I'm just dropping some um, our lives into different areas right now.
Okay,
For
awesome.
those that don't know who you are, could you give a little introductory
Sure.
statement, 30 seconds, whatever you got?
Sure, yeah. So my name's Sal Ventre, like Shawn said. I run the Ventre team, which is a real estate team based under Remax. We're based out of Spring Lake. I have the office in Spring Lake, New Jersey. We do all of Ocean and Monmouth County, top 10 teams in the state right now. We should be top 5 after this month, but top 10 currently in the state. So we do pretty well. We're about 9 agents right now and growing, which isn't a huge team, but per agent we all do really well. And that's basically it. I've been in real estate about 10 years now. Started the team about 2 years ago. And we've just been rocking and rolling, and things are awesome. And I got no complaints right now, where everyone's doing really well.
No, that's awesome, and I appreciate those that don't understand having a team is it takes some time. You can't just
Sure.
start in real estate and just be like, I'm going to grow this huge team. You had to start having those, taking risks, trying different things when you first started. How
Sure.
was it when you first started? When you got out of real estate school, was it like success right off the bat, or was it something you had to work on?
Not really. I thought it was, but it was not, looking back. So when I got my real estate license, it was 2012. It was right before Hurricane Sandy hit the Jersey Shore, and we were right in the middle of it. But when I had got my license, the weekend right before I got my license, I happened to be at a barbecue and run into a guy that said, "Hey, you know what? I'm looking for a summer house. Maybe you can help me out." And believe it or not, within the first week of getting my license, I put a house under contract for this guy. So I was like, wow, this is going to be easy. This is so great. Fast forward 60 days later, Hurricane Sandy came, washed that house totally away. It was 2 blocks from the beach. So literally there was no more structure on the house. And that was right before we closed. And so I quickly learned the roller coaster ride of real estate, and, don't count your money until it's actually in your pocket. And from there, my first 3 years were just that. It was a roller coaster, some good months, some bad months, but I was not super successful by any means. I thought that I was going to be in the beginning because I had that, I got lucky. But I quickly realized that, real estate is not something that, you can quickly have major success in without a lot of hard work. It's not something that you can really do very well in if you're just putting in the part-time hours. I know there's a lot of part-time realtors out there. I'm not discrediting that, but if you really want to be a top producer, it's almost impossible to do that. And when I first got my real estate license, it was kind of going to be a part-time thing for me, or something that I just wanted to kind of dabble in because I wanted to flip houses. At the time, I owned a frozen yogurt franchise, actually, believe it or not, when I got my real estate license. But 2 years into it, I did get addicted to the business and the sales and everything and dealing with people. And so I ended up selling my business and doing real estate full time. But truthfully, it wasn't until about my 4th year in the business that I was consistently doing well and starting to be recognized as a top producer in the business.
This is refreshing for those that are watching. If you're a newbie and just starting out, guys, if you're struggling right now, this is something that it takes a little bit of time, but you also have to be persistent.
Yep.
And continue and work hard, because it will happen at some point if you really want it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Shawn, for the first 3 years of my real estate career, I would say once a month or every other month, I contemplated quitting. because I was like, you know what, this is really hard. There's 80, I mean, maybe at the time there wasn't as many, but currently there's 80,000 licensed agents in New Jersey, and so it's almost, naive to think that, hey, I'm just going to get my license and all of a sudden all these people are going to hire me, because there's so many other people out there with so much more experience and so much bigger networks. And I was super young getting into it. I was 23 years old when I got my real estate license. I hadn't even owned a house myself, so here I am trying to give advice, and it was tough. I'll be honest. Like I said, the first 3 years, it was a roller coaster, and I went back and forth from, is this for me? And then eventually something just clicked, and I really buckled down in between year 3 and 4, and that's when things started to take off.
No, that's awesome. I am all about having routines and having some kind of time block. And to be successful, you can't be reaction all the time. It can't be just calls coming in and just picking up. You have to have systems in place.
Sure.
Can you talk about some of the things you might have had, what you have currently?
Yeah, so that was actually a big thing that changed for me from year 3 to 4. My current broker that is runs the entire Remax that we're under, he kind of took me under his wing a little bit and noticed that I had some potential, but I was still a kid. I was still kind of didn't have a set routine. Out late with my friends and not waking up super early, kind of just living day by day. Whatever appointments came that day, I would run around, and it wasn't until he really broke it down for me, and I really somewhat had a coach to hold me accountable. And at the time, like I said, when I got my license, I was 23, and then fast forward 3 years later, I started to say, you know what, like I'm 3 years into this, I gotta take this serious. And so forming that daily routine is probably 90% of why my 4th year got successful. So I started, making sure that I was up before 7 a.m. every morning, making sure that the healthy lifestyle was something that I implemented, from not only just working out, but what I ate and what I consumed, and, not so much alcohol and not so much that type of stuff, more just healthy living, and really living by a schedule. And that was one of the things that my mentor kind of taught me, was that, one of the challenges that especially real estate agents have, but I think anyone that is a business owner or in sales, a lot of times your day is just kind of what you make it, right? And if you don't have appointments, you can choose to either hang out and watch Netflix, or you can choose to try to, grow and build your network and stuff like that. And so when it wasn't until he said, there is no time off, until you're content with your success, there's always something that you can be doing. And so I actually still to this day, I keep a black book calendar with me at all times. Now, of course, I have my Google Calendar and all the data. Exactly right. So I still have all the digital stuff, and that helps with sending me text alerts and things. But I always have my black book next to me. And one of my goals every Sunday night, looking at the week ahead, is to fill up my calendar for that week with as many activities as I possibly can. And then every morning I look over that and I'll cross out things that I get accomplished, but there's always something that I can be doing. And so now there's not a whole lot of downtime. I spend time with my son now because I have a 5-month-old, but other than that, it's either it's work. And so, in the beginning, I struggled because as a new realtor, you don't have a lot of clients, you don't have a lot of appointments, and not having any routine or structure, it was kind of just like, oh, well, I don't have any appointments today, I'm off, as opposed to now, I'm never off. There's always something that has to be done. And so forming that routine and really sticking to it was a complete game changer for me.
And I'm sure now your why just got much bigger.
Sure.
And that drives you, that inspires, that motivates you. And having your 5-month-old son, it changes you. I know it gets you into a higher, gear, and it drives you even more. I felt that for years now with my first. I have a 13-year-old, I have an 18-month-old, and we have one on the way. So,
oh wow, congrats!
I gotta thank you congrats for you as well. It's something that just drives you, and it gets you to the next level. And I like how you said it's work-life balance. A lot of people love to just work, and it's not. It affects everything.
It's funny you say that, because that's something that I am pretty passionate about, because my wife and I talk about it a lot, and friends of ours, and different people that are in sales, and trying to find that work-life balance. But one thing that I really, really firmly believe is that no two people have the same work-life balance, right? Like there's no rule that says it should be 50-50 or 60-40. And so for me, my perfect work-life balance is when I'm the happiest. And maybe for me, the happiest is a 70-30 work. I enjoy working. Like if I'm stressed out, if I have things on my mind, I want to go to my office and work. For me, it helps me unwind. It takes my mind off of anything else, and I truly enjoy it. And so for me, a 50-50 work-life balance isn't the right split for me. I need a little more work. Maybe some people need a little less work, but I don't think there's a rule. And I think that's where some people struggle or beat themselves up, because they feel, oh, you know what, I'm putting too much time into one thing or the other. And for me, it's like, hey, man, are you happy? Are you satisfied with where you're at? If so, then maybe that's a good work-life balance for you. But I think it's important to recognize that, because especially in sales, and when we can work unlimited hours, you don't want to do that and really just drain yourself and burn out. And, you got to be happy at the same time. So I think everyone's work-life balance is different. And I think you just got to really find what works for you and what works for your family and everything else, but that's a big thing for me. I tell people, like, some people look that have maybe say a regular 9-to-5 job or something, and they'll look at the hours that I work, and they're like, you're crazy, you're working too much, you need a good work-life balance. And it's like, well, this is my right work-life balance. This is what makes me the happiest and makes me want to keep going. So I think it's important that you don't get into that stigma of just, it's got to be this, it's got to be this. I think everyone's is different.
You said it right as far as being happy. If you're the one that's happy, it doesn't matter. If it's, 60-40 work, 70-30, it doesn't matter as long as you're happy. Yep. And your family's happy and everything else. But I enjoy being around my daughters. It's something that if you don't, and that's what my wife and I have been kidding over this whole quarantine that we had. There were people that were miserable, that were stuck with each other now for the period of time now. I enjoyed every moment. I was around my daughter, my wife more often. And it's something that, yes, it changes your routines. It changes your healthy activities. I haven't been drinking the way I used to drink as well. Like It's something that I try to be healthy, keep it conscious, stay active, keep yourself moving, because if you're active, it opens up other things, because stress.
Absolutely.
You don't have stress in the real estate world, right?
Nonstop.
You have the biggest transaction that someone is going to attempt to buy. You got to be a counselor. You have to be a quarterback. Absolutely. Can you talk about how you have maybe your cornerstone as far as recommendation sources? Do you have are you the resource, or are you the agent that says, oh, go find somebody yourself?
No. So actually, we pride ourselves, I say we, my team, as being a concierge style real estate team and real estate company. And what I mean by that is, I tell every client that we have, we're going to hold your hand every step of the way. And no matter what you need, we have the resources for it. And we've already went through and figured out who the best people are in each industry and who's reliable and who you can count on. Of course, you don't have to work with our people, but no matter what it is, we will make sure that we have that resource for you. If you need a playground in your backyard, we've got a guy. If you need, anything you need, if you need help moving, we've rolled up our sleeves, and I've brought my whole team to a house and for a client that needed to move in a pinch, and we'll load up the U-Hauls for you. We'll do anything and everything to make sure that our clients are satisfied. And I think that's a big thing. A lot of realtors, they just want to get in and out, get their check, and never talk to the people again. We really pride ourselves on being a full service real estate company.
Yeah, being a resource is key. And I'm thinking about how this whole pandemic happens and everyone's doing these virtual tours and everything else. I think where you are down the shore, right? Isn't it a different way of selling those properties compared to ones maybe up north that are more the primary? A lot of the secondary market or investment are probably in your arena in that area. So you probably were doing some of these virtual things for years now.
Yeah, so we actually, I've had a virtual listing presentation made for a while. We were doing video walkthroughs and stuff for a while. I kind of have a funny opinion on the virtual tours for homes. and I'll share it really quick. So I was never a huge fan of virtual walkthroughs. Now, listing videos where I can kind of show highlights and key features and things to get people to come to the property is one thing. But the super, super in-depth walkthroughs where people try to actually capture a buyer from that, it's very tricky because for me, you obviously can't get the feel of walking through a house from a computer screen, right? Like you can see it, but my thought process always was, I don't want someone to rule out this house or my listing based on this video. I just want to show you the highlights and the best features to get you through the door and make you fall in love with the house, because home buying is very emotional, right? Like even if it checks all the boxes, it's got to feel like home, and it's hard to get that feeling through a computer screen. Now, granted, if you're in New York or LA or in one of these markets where a lot of your buyers are international or they're not even in the state, you have to do that. But even now, honestly, throughout the pandemic and everything, yes, buyers were requesting virtual tours, but no one made any sort of decision without physically going in the property. So we were doing, we were allowed to do one-on-one showings throughout this whole pandemic. Open houses were canceled, but for the most part, almost every property that we sell is because of in-person showings. So they're useful to bring attention to the property, but it's not something that I ever really banked on to sell these homes, and that could be wrong. Everyone's got their own opinion, but I want to get people there. I want to get into their emotions. I want them to feel the house, and the listing videos and those trailers and highlight videos help do that. But we don't do like crazy in-depth walkthroughs, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it seems like it's how you're supposed to use social media. It's supposed to create interest,
right?
Not sell somebody. That's what people don't realize with social media, or even selling homes and the videos and everything else. That's not going to sell it. It's going to create interest, and people will talk about it and everything else. So with social media, how important is that to your business?
Oh man, I tell everyone, honestly, social media built my business. So, rewind back, I said I got my license when I was 23, about 9 years ago, and I had no money. I didn't know how to market it really too well. And this was at the beginning of social media. I was young, so I was kind of savvy with social media and things like that. And that's what I did. I started putting, whatever I could out there on social for real estate, because I kind of quickly realized that, hey, as we get older, you don't really network as much. Now, granted, yes, we go to events and we go to certain things, but you have 2-3 kids now. How often are you hanging out at the bar, just at happy hour, hanging out with guys and meeting new people? Maybe once a week, if that. Maybe twice a week. So I saw the opportunity as, hey, this is a way that I can network and be in front of people every day, 7 days a week. And so that's what I use social media for, is to constantly be top of mind and just network with different people at all times. And 100%, I would say that I would not be where I am today without social media.
No, I'm the same way. Social media is the game changer for many people. And like you said, I use social media as it's my network.
Right.
So it's something that I don't have to go to these BNI tip meetings at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly.
I try to, and I was doing events once a month, getting people offline. That was key, to have face-to-face time.
Sure.
Now we're unable to do that for a little bit of time. We'll get back into doing that. But that's the important thing, is social media is always working for you.
Yes. Always.
Even when you're sleeping, things are happening.
Yes. And that's the one thing that, I'm sorry, I got to move over because the sun is in my eyes.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that, I constantly preach to my team, is just be out there, engage with people. And to your point, you said you do referral partners and things. I think it's very important that you support other businesses and things too. And so, that comes back to you.
That being at hyper local, going out and interviewing all small businesses. Some people are like, why would I waste my time? Because you're getting out in the community, you're building and growing roots. Absolutely. In that community.
And you're providing value to someone else, right? And so hopefully that comes back in return to you. And that's another reason why we like to be a full service type of company and refer other businesses, because they see that, they recognize that, and they appreciate it. And, we hope it comes back to us in form of referrals.
Now, when you first got started, Are you into like reading books, audiobooks, podcasts, are you into videos? What
So
are some of the
it's
things you've been
funny.
gaining?
It's funny you say when I first started, because that's kind of why I got my real estate license. I was running the frozen yogurt business, and I just had gotten into reading books. I'll be honest with you, I'll be the first to admit I never read anything. I wasn't into it. You know, typical young guy, just didn't really care about that stuff. And someone put me onto a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I'm sure you've heard of. It's very, very, very popular. Robert Kiyosaki, excellent book. I've read it probably 5 times now, but I read that book when I was very young, and that's what kind of got my interest into real estate. And so I got my license, and that also kind of sparked my interest into books and reading. And so to this day now, it's actually a goal of mine to try to read a book a month, and I would love to increase that into even, more than that. Right now I'm reading a book called Limitless by Ziem, who is a guy that is super, super brilliant. And his big thing is, training your brain muscle like you would anything else to increase memory and focus, and actually speed read. So I never thought I'd be someone that could speed read, but it's something that I want to do. And he puts it very bluntly and perfectly. And he basically explains that, a lot of people take reading books for granted. Obviously, we all know the statistic of, CEOs read 5 books a week or something crazy like that. But basically, he just explains the importance of books is, most of these authors, they have a lifetime of experience that they're putting into these books. And, a person that doesn't ever consume that and they only have their life experiences is one thing. But if I can read 200, 300 books over the course of my lifetime, how much more knowledgeable and how much more experience and how much more I can learn from other people's mistakes and other people's experiences and grow my own brain. And so I'm a big, big believer in books. I actually now do a lot of audiobooks because I'm in the car between appointments often. So instead of listening to radio or wasting time, I throw on an audiobook, and that's been awesome.
No, it's definitely a way of growing. It's something that you should be doing consistently. And I agree 100%. Going and reading and reflecting and then sharing that with your team, with others on video, etc. We had a couple people drop some comments. What does your team structure look like? We were talking beforehand. I know you have, it's the, Sal Ventre on the top, and then is there a flow to your system?
Somewhat. So when I first started forming a team, going back about 3 years ago, so I've only had my team for about 1 to 2 years now. But about 3 years ago is when I started getting to a point as a single agent that I was so busy that I almost couldn't handle it. I couldn't actually do more business by myself. I couldn't cover that much ground. So I brought one guy on as my assistant / buyer's agent, kind of just do it all type of guy. And so for a year, he was with me 7 days a week on every appointment, running around doing whatever I needed him to do. He took a couple clients as well. And then from there, we ended up hiring. So after that year, he wanted to sell full-time himself with me on my team. And so we ended up hiring another assistant that serviced both of us. And we did that for about 6 months until I decided that, hey, I really want to start growing this team. And now we have a full-time team manager that kind of works as somewhat of our assistants, but he also handles our marketing and just daily operations. We have 9 agents on the team. All of my agents do both buyers and sellers. They work with both. We don't have just strictly buyers agents or listing agents. They do it all. So we have our team manager. We have 9 agents. And then I also have an in-house graphic designer, an in-house social media guy, someone that handles our CRM and website updates and things like that. So I've got about 4 or 5 staff as well as the team. But everyone on the team, there's really no hierarchy. They're all equal. Obviously, I'm the team leader, but under me, everyone is equal on the team. And then we have the staff.
No, that's awesome. We had another one that says, as a real estate agent, do you use 3D pictures versus old school pictures? I guess maybe more high resolutions type of compared to the normal cell phone pictures.
So for me, I think coming from a business owner and then getting my real estate license was very important because I understood the importance of marketing and professional quality things. And when I got into real estate, like I said, about 9-10 years ago, social media wasn't super popular. 99% of the agents were taking pictures on their phone or they bought a camera. And I was like, I seen one or two of the top agents and they had incredible photos. And at the time, the people that I was working with were like, yeah, but you know, they pay hundreds of dollars for that. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, but they're making thousands if they sell it. Like, this is a no-brainer. You know, what are we doing here? And so I was one of the first to jump on that bandwagon and hire a professional photographer. Even when my budget and finances were very, very low, I just saw the value in it. And I never once ever have taken my own photos. And it's actually something that with my team, you're absolutely not allowed to have your own photos. We have an in-house photographer now that shoots all of our listings. And he's the only person that we let shoot the photos because he's that good. We've had him for the past 5 years now. So he's phenomenal. And there's no way that I would ever put a listing out there without absolute perfect photos. And to that point, not only do we have a photographer, I also have an in-house photo editing company that then takes those photos and makes them even sharper and crisper and does some editing, removes unwanted shadows or different things in those photos so that every one of them is perfect. I can't stress that enough. I mean, when people are shopping for homes, everyone's doing it the same way. They're on the third-party sites like Zillow or Trulia or social media, or they're getting alerts from their realtor. But the first thing that everyone does is they look through the pictures. So it always blows my mind why you wouldn't want those pictures to be the best they possibly could be.
Like you said, you're making thousands of dollars, few $100s here. It can definitely turn into consistent dollars for you down the road, for
Absolutely.
sure.
And I think that was something that people saw going back 5-6 years ago when I had that transition from year 3 to 4, is that I always was putting out super high quality images. And because I was on social media, images are big. And so people saw that and they immediately related it to, oh my God, all the houses you sell are so beautiful. And it wasn't that the houses were so beautiful, it's just that our pictures were so awesome, that it just kind of created a sort of a reputation for that. So I would never recommend using anything other than top quality photos.
For sure. No, I appreciate, that valuable tip right there. And is there any final thoughts you can share with us today?
Final thoughts. I think, like you kind of said, is for anyone that is in real estate, it is a long game. And you have to keep that in mind. Still being in this, going on a decade and having a team and having some success, I still have to remind myself every single day that I'm playing the long game, right? And that it is, it's not something that happens overnight, no success, and so I think what a lot of realtors struggle with, and that's why, I think the statistic is like people that get their real estate license within 2 years, 80% of them are no longer licensed because they look at the TV shows or, whatever people tell them, and they get into the business and they're like, oh my God, this is not what I expected. So my advice that I can give is, number one, find a mentor or a team that you can learn from and gain experience. But number two, you have to understand that this is a long-term business. You have to put in the work and realize that it's not going to happen overnight. You're competing with so many people. Get your routine down pat and just stay consistent and find someone to keep you accountable, because we don't have a boss in this business. And so having someone to keep you accountable, even if that's just your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or something like that, one of my business coaches shared something with me a couple years ago that I thought was really powerful and that I still implement to this day. And he was like, accountability is very important. And since I'm the team leader, I'm holding everyone else accountable, but who's holding me accountable? And so for me, one of those people is my wife. And so I share with her what my goals are for the year, what my goals are for the month, what my plans are for the week. And she kind of holds me accountable to doing those things, not in a sense of where she's going to yell at me if I don't, but I don't want to let her down. And I don't want to say, hey, I didn't do this, And so I think putting stuff out there. And that's why, some people are very private and they don't want to put anything on social and they don't want to, I think I like to put everything out there. I want you to know what my goals are. I want you to know, because for me, I don't want to look bad and not do it. Right. So that accountability is huge. And so that's what I would leave people with is remember that it's long term. Never work for just that one deal. Work for the career. Don't put that commission check in front of a client or something. Know that it's going to be long term and find someone to keep you accountable.
That was well said, Sal. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Consistency and accountability is so key no matter what.
Absolutely.
And like you said, throw things out there. If you like, I do a lot of, I'm working out more, so I'm throwing out selfies, sweaty
Yep.
selfies, because it holds me accountable.
Exactly.
And it helps others. It might inspire. That's what you should be thinking about with your social media. So
100%.
definitely drop some. Oh, and also another person, Matthew Victoria. He's not a. You're not a secret agent.
Not at
That's
all.
we've been talking about this on Mondays. That a lot of people are just, they're private. Open up your profile, make it public so everyone can see who you are.
Yep. A lot of, and I'll just say this really quickly, a lot of my team members or just newer agents that I talk to, they're afraid to post a lot on social media because they don't want to feel like spammy or that they're bragging. And it's not bragging at all. This is your business. You gotta shout your successes. You gotta show people what makes you stand out. And so, no, I am anything but a secret agent.
That's for sure. Hey, I'm going to be down the shore in the next couple of weeks. I definitely want to see if we can meet up face to face.
Awesome.
Do that 6 feet shaking hands kind of thing. And we'll be doing this again in the future. I appreciate you, man, and enjoy your 5-month-old.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch, my man.
Awesome. Thanit. Thanks, Shawn. Appreciate it.
Have an awesome day.
You too.
Bye-bye.